Well, we're here, ladies and gentlemen. This is, well, you know what this is. If you see the scroll down below, you see that it has been 19 shows in a row, ladies and gentlemen, that I have engaged in philosophizing and moralizing with the news and not, I repeat, not freaked out. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be trying for number 20. Number 20, 20 shows in a row without freaking out. Now, I'm going to let you know, ladies and gentlemen, that I got to say, I don't know. I feel like I am going to be able to get through this show, ladies and gentlemen. That's how I feel. I feel as if I am going to get through this show. Even though there are some challenges for me, I feel like on the main, this is going to be all right, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to see number 20 today. We're going to see 20 shows, historic moment that's going to happen. But before we can get to that, ladies and gentlemen, y'all know who you are. You guys know who you are, the folks out there. You need a little love. You need a little reassurance. Just something that says, it's okay. Bad man's about ready to say stuff I don't like, but it's okay. It's okay, because I'll probably say some stuff you like, too. So, keep listening.
Warning, the material you're about to be exposed to is foreign to the minds of individuals who are limited in their capacity to understand the actual reality of power around them, just as you and everyone else alive currently are. What you're about to hear are opinions, suppositions, like gospel or scientific truths, not infallible certainties. Brace yourself for incoming opinions that could confirm or deny your preferential view of the reality of power. Brace yourself for fallible material, fallible opinions, and values reflected, but nonetheless variably firmly held. We do not apologize to anyone we may offend. We do not apologize for daring to express our views and impressions of what we believe is and what we hope to see. We will keep talking so long as we are able.
And now, Frico attempts to talk about the news without freaking out. Oh, yeah. That's the plan, ladies and gentlemen. That is the plan. And I believe that we can do it today. This is Frico Talks the News. I am Frico with Frico.com. This show is for Monday, May 4th, 2020. On this show, we're going to get After the Absence, the Terror of Kim to Follow. Mind over Prosthetic feels good. Lawbreakers lauded for their scientific crimes against the laws of nature, mainly Ohms law. The gut is the government of the mind. That's our news poem for today. Bezos, Congress wants you for some questions, bro. And the failures of collectives to deliver equality, which will be our Dialectical. And how did we get here, ladies and gentlemen? Well, ladies and gentlemen, everything came to Frico.com, but exactly what came to Frico.com? What came to Frico.com were links, news links curated by yourself, Frico, on newslight.com. I curate the glitz, the odd, the under-the-radar, the hard-to-believe news at a glance. I pick 10 stories, send it phone back on over to Frico.com and go on over to Obamacare.tv. And that's where I curate links for free market social engineering for the masses. I got 10 stories there that I send on over to Frico.com for considerations. And then finally, pioneering news, tech, science, underground news links that I curate. And I send 12 of those on over to Frico.com. And from Frico.com, I gather my tales together. And when I gather them together, I formulate the song for the day. And the song for the day is Here Comes Kim Jong Boo Boo. That's right. That's the song that I'm going to be singing for you here today. But first, well, let's get to the headlines. Let me get this queued up. If you're new to the show, what I do is I go through the process of I record my segments, the excerpts of the show that I post on our Actionbatza YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Actionbatza, ACTIUNEBAZA. I want to say we have crossed the 100 subscriber mark. It took a long time. Well, we are now over 100 subscribers. We were at 101 last check. And that means that we now have our own URL. YouTube.com/Actionbatza. Action base is what it really means in Latin. Base of action is the name of the philosophy that essentially underlies this whole show's way that even the way that I look at the news. It's all through this lens. So that's how it's all connected, folks. And we're live on dlive.tv/Frico every Monday through Friday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we also post all of our excerpts on our BitChute channel as well. BitChute.com/Frico, Freeqo. Let's get ready to record our first segment here, and that's the headlines. This is Talk Headlines for Frico Talks the News on Monday, May 4th, 2020. Our top headline today is After the Absence, the Terror of Kim to Follow. Get the Frico Talks Daily delivered to your email at Frico.com/daily. Do that, and then come back and pick up where you left off, which is right here, which is our top headline. This is an excerpt from The Sun, UK. Kim Jong-un likely to order wave of gruesome public executions to crush dissent after death rumors. Kim Jong-un could unleash a wave of gruesome public execution in a bid to crush dissent after rumors about his death circulated, an expert said. Yeah, let me just go there. So your headline is Kim Jong-un, weird, wave of gruesome public executions. Really wanted to get that one in there. They really, and to crush dissent. Yeah. Well, it's weird that you don't often see that we use the first sentence, and this was the first sentence from this article. And you use the first sentence for the title. I guess you do it sometimes, but not too often. Weird. Anyway, you do you, boo. You do you, boo. Kim Jong-un could unleash a wave of gruesome... Oh my gosh, I'm not going to repeat this again. I'm going to do it again. Ready, everybody? Prepare your ears. Get this mantra in you. Kim Jong-un could unleash a wave of gruesome public executions. Gruesome public executions. Crush dissent after rumors. There you go. Those are the phrases. Yeah. The North Korean despot is also said to be poised to issue a fresh spate of nuclear threats against the West to reestablish his credibility after he was mysteriously missing for weeks. Rumors about his death first circulated when Kim failed to appear for celebrations marking the birth of his grandfather Kim Il-sung on April 15th, a key date in the country's calendar. No reason has been given for why he vanished, but it has been suggested he was either in hiding trying to avoid coronavirus or had been taken ill. The dictator, 36, was last seen in public on April 11, and rumors circulated he had died, possibly from a heart problem. All kinds of weird on this. All kinds of weird. I don't remember who it was that initially pumped this story. I remember seeing Kim Jong-un is dead. What? What? And then I look and it's like immediately. Now that first time Kim Jong-un was dead, that was it for me. I was done. I was like, yeah, I'm just going to not do anything and think about this too much. Pardon the interruption. I do need to remind you all that this is... Here we go. There we go. That is the official cup of Frico Talks the News. This is the Hello Kitty Cup, not a sponsor. Wouldn't accept sponsors, but if ever was going to be a sponsor, Hello Kitty would be the only sponsor the show would ever accept. With no strings attached, by the way. Other than, well, maybe some strings. We're not going to, take your cup and do anything unseemly that would tarnish your name. But we're not going to censor our political views in any way, shape, or form. By we, I mean all of the people that are carrying on conversations in my head right now. One of them is Frico, and that's the one talking to you. And these people are metaphorical, so cool your jets, folks. Hold on. So we got Uncle Kim that is possibly, I don't know, this is the Sun. Where are you getting this from? Should I take this news any more seriously than I do any other news bit? Well, I know that he has been seen now, so they know he's alive. My bet is if he was ill, even if he was legitimately ill, he wouldn't want, that would be weakness. My suspicion is Kimmy Boy. Kimmy Boy, I am betting, lacks the discipline to pull something like this off. Kimmy Boy he would always be out there doing what Kimmy Boy does. Here comes Kimmy Boo Boos. Comes Kimmy Boo Boos. He's going to be out there. He can't help himself. He can't contain himself. So if he was out, it was because he was sick. I believe he probably was legitimately sick. Was it whether he was near dead? I don't know. But whether he had coronavirus and almost died, I don't know. He was probably in some state of questionable mortal hold, I'll just say. So this is my supposition. Because I just don't see this guy, this 36-year-old man-child, having the discipline to resist. To actually, I could see him thinking it up and plotting it out maybe a million times and never ever carrying it off because it means shutting up for a day. I don't think this kid shuts up for a day if he can help it. So I think he probably was ill, but I do think that now this is probably the narrative that he would want out there because he can't look soft. You cannot be portrayed as being a god that gets ill when they get coronavirus and almost dies, or has a heart problem or any other health problem, All health problems. No. No, no, no. So this has to be put off as, I meant to do that. I remember when I was, this is a few years ago, my daughter was a lot younger, and I think my daughter was involved in this. It was maybe it was before her. I'm not sure. Pretty sure she was in this group. It was some family group. It was whether it was family, I don't even remember. It was a rolling rink, and they had speed skating, and I went for speed skating. I don't know how to skate. I just thought, what the heck? I'm gonna try it. I was booking it. I came around that third corner, and I was booking it, and I just kept, just kind of went in a direction that was not of my choosing, and I ended up hitting the back of my head on the rink floor, but suffered like it didn't even hurt. I must have been able to brace myself, and it looked much worse than it was. But when it first happened, my immediate reaction was, did I just die? And I'm thinking, and I'm lying here, and I'm thinking, how am I doing? And then I realized, wow, did that look stupid? I look like a total spazzaroni. Once they realize that I'm not dead and I'm fine, then I'm a spazzaroni. So I was like, I can't be portrayed as being a spazzaroni in front of, that's why I believe my daughter was there. Can't look like a weak puss-a-llama, in front of your kid. So what did I do? I jumped up and I said, I meant to do that. That was a stunt. Now, I didn't expect anybody. In my case, I didn't expect anybody to believe me that it was a stunt. I expected everybody to laugh at the whole thing, to laugh with me and turn it into, wow, that guy's funny. What a boss. He just totally got up. And that's what it turned out to be. So I did my job. And I think that's what Kim's doing, except in his case, he expects everybody within to fully believe him, or else you end up in front of one of them artillery shell ranges where they tie you to a post and they hit you with artillery shells or some crazy stuff they do. When they execute, they have a lot of subjectively speaking, very subjectively speaking, narrowly within the human span of human, very narrowly subjectively speaking, fun ways of executing people. So I'm not buying it. I don't think this is a ruse. I think he really was sick. I think he really was close to death. I now think this will be used because I think there were maybe some Hong Kong publications that ran with this that now China will use as a justification. See, they're fake news. So I would not play into this narrative. I would not play into it. I myself am highly skeptical that it's true. I could be wrong. Here's a nice little headline for you. The wrong star sign will get you gone in China. This is an excerpt from Forbes. In China, hiring managers openly discriminate on the basis of astrological signs. In China, revealing your birthday may be the quickest way to disqualify yourself from some job opportunities, and it has nothing to do with age discrimination. New research, published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, finds that Chinese hiring managers discriminate on the basis of zodiac signs, and they are especially prejudiced against Virgos. Anecdotally, in China, there are personality stereotypes associated with the astrological signs, state the authors of the research, led by Jackson Liu of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. In particular, some people... Technology, son, not ecnology. I just didn't feel like a T there, so I left it out. In particular, some people intentionally avoid Virgos, those born between August 23rd and September 22nd, as friends, romantic partners, or employees, purportedly because Virgos, literally translated as virgin in Chinese, are stereotyped as having disagreeable personalities. So they are, wow, they are signists, astralists. Astralists. Let's see how that looks. Hold on. Got to do this every once in a while. You just gotta try things out. All right. I'm just gonna. You know what? I'm gonna call you. Let's see. What is this? Headlines. This is the headlines. Headlines text thingy. I think that's what it is. And That way, next time I'll start to do this as I do the show. Yeah, let's call this. Let's see these astrolists. Astrolists. Just gonna make it black. Yeah, just gonna make it black and drag you on over here. And then we're gonna make you big, astrolists. There you go, astrolists. Okay. So this is astrolists. So this is like racist astrolists. Astrolists, you're discriminated against people based on their astrology, their astrological sign. You could go with signalists. Let's try that. Let's try signalists. Signalists, that might be better. That seems a little bit. What do you guys think? Because I'm thinking there you go, signalists. Signalists. So you're a signalist. And I think we should probably change that because of the shock and awe of the whole piece. We should probably. There we go. Signalists. So there you go, signalists. So there you go, signalists. But don't worry, we're not going to keep this one up for the rest of the show. We'll take it down and just there you go. Let's do this though. Let's do the last headline here. Blind solar: how to keep out the sun while keeping in the power. And this is an excerpt from truththeory.com. It's actually written by John Vibes, and I know him. I guess I know him personally, like in face to face. I never met him, but I've been connected to him for some time through the Facebooks. We have a number of mutual friends. He's been on the same show that, well, he was a regular, but I was on the show a couple of times, Freedom Fiends. So connection to the writer here. And I have seen a number of other articles from him in Truth Theory. And I didn't know that he was writing in Truth Theory until I actually began doing the show. So I came across Truth Theory totally independent of him. I didn't even know it. So congratulations, John. Glad you got a good writing gig, and you're doing good stuff as usual. He's got long history. Really, really solid writer. Wrote a novel recently as well. Solar gaps blinds are a great solution for people living in apartments or rental houses, and even people who just don't want to go through the trouble of installing solar panels on their roofs. To make the blinds more efficient, the panels track the sun and adjust their positions throughout the day, and they can also be controlled through a smartphone. The blinds can be set up as the main source of power for your home if you get enough sun, and there's even battery to store extra electricity, which can be saved for later or sold back to the power company. So I've seen others. These aren't the first of its kind, but just another one of its kind. I thought it was just this is one of them little, hey, look, everybody, this is pretty cool. This really is just a headline. There's not much more to say about it. And I could say my usual with any tech story. Just insert press the button that says, as long as we free the IP, free the IP, free the IP. That's going to be very, very, very significant. I got a number of stories working on even right now for future shows that have to do with more in depth about the whole IPs and why it is that you should pretty much abandon it if you love humanity, subjectively speaking, and you recognize that you're not a superhero or one of the Citadelians, so you require mercy and grace from others, so therefore you need consensuality in the universe. If you want consensuality in the universe, and you need it if you're a weak, broken piece of proverbial, then you'll be for that. This has been the 4 p.m. show on the YouTube Action Botsy channel. The YouTube Action, I gotta say I don't know exactly how I'm gonna word that. It doesn't matter. Coming up next is the talk feature. That's the 5 o'clock show, and the feature for today is called "Mind Over Prosthetic Feels Good." If you're watching on the Action Botsy YouTube channel, you have to wait till 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're watching the show live, which is every Monday through Friday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on dlive.tv/Freako, then you don't have to wait. Alrighty. Okay. Alrighty then. Let's get to... Oh, you know what I didn't do? I'm so stupid. I feel bad. I didn't go... I should have transitioned here, and I forgot. So, that really sucks. Yeah, I got to remember that. I went to the wrong place, kids. I went to the wrong place. I didn't do it the right thing, But I soldiered on. You know what to do, you just keep going. But inside you die a little. So a part of me has died with that recent interaction. I'm about ready to do the talk feature recording here. Just hold on one moment here, and I'm going to get myself sipped up. I got to get sipped up. I have to get sipped up, all right? That's the way you do it. That's how you sip, right there. I told you guys before, as far as sippage goes, I'm right up there with the best of the best. I don't think there's many good sippers out there in the world in general, but even amongst those, they're just messy gulpers compared to me. I got it down to a science, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get this talk feature. Let's do this talk feature. Talk feature. Let's do the talk feature. Yeah. Let me get queued up here. Hold on. Let me get my. Where are we at here? I don't have the right thing queued up. You're not. There you go. There you're supposed to be. All right. I get everything ready. We're going to do the talk feature in 3, 2, 1. This is the talk feature for Frico Talks the News on Monday, May 4th, 2020. The talk feature today is Mind over Prosthetic Feels Good. What if the loss of a limb is merely a minor inconvenience that can be righted with a few applications of science? But before you get into that, be sure you go to freako.com/FREEQO, where you can get Frico's Daily Freaks just under your email and click subscribe. It should say submit, but I wouldn't. I'm a decent person, so I won't ask you to do that. Let's get back to Mind over Prosthetic Feels Good. The major drawback to prosthetic replacement of human limbs so far has been coming close to matching the feelings one could get from one's real arm. Well, things are about to change. Scientists out of Chalmers University of Technology, with a few assists, mostly from Gothenburg, Sweden, got together and developed a prosthetic arm that can be controlled with the mind and also can create a sense of feeling from the user unlike anything that has ever been before it. I'm not exaggerating, ladies and gentlemen. I would never exaggerate, you know me. Very low-key. Excerpt from ScienceDaily.com. Mind-controlled arm prosthesis that feels are now part of everyday life. For the first time, people with arm amputations can experience sensations of touch in a mind-controlled arm prosthesis that they use in everyday life. A study reports on, and that's important, everyday life, because they were able to create sense for people, like briefly, but this is the key part there. I chose not to put that in my headline because I'm trying to make, short headlines like you kids like. You kids like the short zingers. That's what gets the boys to the yard. A study reports on 3 Swedish patients who have lived for several years with this new technology, one of the world's most integrated interfaces between human and machine. The advance is unique. The patients have used a mind-controlled prosthesis in their everyday life for up to 7 years. For the last few years, they have also lived with a new function, sensations of touch in the prosthetic hand. This is a new concept for artificial limbs, which are called neuromusculoskeletal prostheses, as they are connected to the user's nerves, muscles, and skeleton. The research was led by Max Ortiz, because this ain't no joke, folks. This ain't no joke. This is $6 million man stuff. I love the sound of $6 million man running. Y'all know what I mean. Y'all down with it. So this advance, literally, this is singularity level type stuff going on here. This is approaching that. Coupled with all the other stories, now imagine this. Imagine that there will come a time when, through the course of our lives, who knows at which points, we will go through the process of having our physical arms and legs removed to be replaced with prosthetics that are far more effective than what we have now. And we could even eventually get to the point where, well, we find that we replace everything but the head. And then after we do that, what we discover is that we are no longer human, but we are more machine, because it turns out that 90+% of the decision-making process, the real decision-making, was all throughout your body. And that removing your body was literally removing your mind. Yeah, that'd be a cool story. Somebody write that one. Do that. Get her done. Get her done! The research was led by Max Ortiz Catalan, Associate Professor at Chalmers University of Technology, in collaboration with Salgrenska University Hospital, University of Gothenburg, and Integrum AB, all in Gothenburg. So I told you, man, it's a Gothenburg party, man. I don't know what it's Gothenburg, man. You wrote Gothenburg. That seems like that should be the name right now. That's because this name is all over this. I'm going to now call this. Wow, I'm going to call this. Well, I'm going to have to switch. I'm not in the right place here. But anyway, let me title this. This is going to be Features Text Thingy. Yeah, so I can use the text thingies. I'm going to start to have these. I forgot about these. I wanted to add these during the thing, but I didn't do it. So featured text thingies. And we're going to write Gothenburg, because I think that's the word that we need to live in harmony of right now. Gothenburg. There we go. Gothenburg. Yep. There we go. So we're still on the old Gothenburg, though. And we're going to bring Gothenburg up. We're not going to leave behind Gothenburg as we've shifted scenes, ladies and gentlemen. No, indeedy. Gothenburg goes with us. It is. Right now, Gothenburg is life. Look at how they dominate. They just totally dominate the universe now. Now that they have built this thing. They've built a thing that is where mind and machine end. It's hard to say who's zooming who now. Already we're at the who's zooming who with these folks. What degree of their lives is now being formed by this arm? If I'm right about the nature of the human, that our body parts, our brain parts, every part of us is part of our brain. We are like one huge brain, but we're also brains within brains within brains within brains. There's a networking of, I won't say sentient, but maybe approaching sentience within us. A multiplicity of near sentient essences making decisions that are what we call our aware self isn't even aware of. Instincts, guts, knee-jerk reactions. So many assumptions that we have about what life is really like. So much of it may have been put there by these guys' hand that helps us feel better, so that when we partake of the carnalities of self, we can enjoy the pleasure once again. Of course, that's not why they did this, but certainly all of that. Our study shows that a prosthetic hand attached to the bone and controlled by electrodes implanted in nerves and muscles can operate much more precisely than conventional prosthetic hands. We further improved the use of the prosthesis by integrating tactile sensory feedback that the patients use to mediate how hard to grab or squeeze an object. Oh yeah. You gotta know how hard and how soft. You need to know that. How soft and hard is a big part of the whole thing. Over time, the ability of the patients to discern Smaller changes in the intensity of sensation has improved, says Max Ortiz Cazalan. You know, there's a name. I like that name. Let's, I mean, that's a strong looking name too. Let's do that. Let's see what that looks like, everybody. Are y'all ready? Let's do Max Ortiz Catalan. There we go. There we go. Let's get this. Alrighty. Max or where's his last name? Is it T-I-Z? Ortiz Catalan. Let's see what you look like. Yeah. Let's alright, let's make you light green. How about that? We'll make you light green, Max. Give you a little Maxie. Little Maxadoogles. There we go. There we go. Max Ortiz Catalan. There you go. I like it. I like it. I like the look of that name. That is a strong, strong looking name, isn't it? Pretty cool. So hats off to you, Max. Good job on this incredible, incredible discovery that I've totally been busting on, but I want all that stuff I said about the mind-body thing. I believe everything I said. Well, I believe it is authentically a theory that I'm entertaining. How about that? I don't know if I could say I believe it so much as it is a theory that I'm currently working on in my head. So as far as that goes, yes. As far as that goes, even with that in mind, I want that arm. I want those arms and legs. I want them now. Okay? I want them. I want them now. That is all. And that is going to end this dialectical, or excuse me, this feature that we have done for Frico Talks the News. Don't forget to tip your newser. Frico, that's me. I'm a newser. It's what I do. I'm a newser. Do it for you, the people. So be sure you tip your Frico at frico.com/tips, or you go to frico.com, Freeqo, and you find these little biggie buttons. You pick on these, but you click on that biggie button. It takes you a little PayPal thing. It says 1, 2, 5, or a spot for the gazillionaires to fill in. $1, $2, $5. Give $1, $2, $5 to Frico, and then it just means all the more goldfish food for my dog, and that's important. I don't have a dog or a goldfish, but I'm gonna make it work. And thanks to you, I'm going to be able to fund the whole project. Thanks to you tipping Frico, and I appreciate that. This has been the 5 p.m. show on Frico Talks the News' YouTube channel, Aktiun Batza, ACTIUNE BAZA. Coming up next on the Aktiun Batza YouTube channel is going to be the 6 p.m. show, which is the talk focus for Frico Talks the News. Today's top focus is Lawbreakers, lauded for their scientific crimes against the laws of science, mainly Ohms. Now, you'll have to wait until 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Aktiun Batza YouTube channel, unless you're watching live, which we go live every Monday through Friday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the D-Live channel. The D-Live channel. The D-Live channel is dlive.tv/Frico. And you can go to the D-Live channel and be sure to follow. And if you're on the D-Live channel, you know you don't have to wait. All right, well, I almost forgot it again, but I did remember it at the very bottom. And I left my music lighty thingy on. So this is the second time in a row, ladies and gentlemen, that I have managed to flub this up. Although I did kind of catch myself a little bit, but I am, for some reason, I'm just not remembering to switch scenes. I'm getting enraptured in the sound of my own voice, and I want to make love to the sound of my own. No, I don't. It's nothing to do with that. I think it just has to do with I got some stuff on my mind right now that's distracting me, and I'm trying to keep it out of my head. And it has to do with the Rubik's Cube and, well, Never mind. I've said too much. Let's get ready for the talk focus. How about we do that? Ladies and gentlemen, high energy. Everybody wants that high energy. Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? Hey, this is Frico here. I got the news for you. That's what everybody wants, and I don't want that. That gives me gas. It gave me gas just doing that. For the moment that I did it, the blood rushed to my head, and I thought, my gosh, I'm going to pass out. This sucks. This is terrible. I hate this. I don't want to be your Steven Crowder or your, what's the lefty version of, Cenk. I don't want to be your Cenk or your Steven. I don't want to be either one of those clowns. Subjectively speaking, of course, you guys might very well love them and not think they're clowns, and hey, more power to you. But for me, subjectively speaking, by my standards, all that stuff is just clowning. I'm just so sick of it all. Just so tired of the all that stuff. You don't get a lot of that stuff here. I'm just not in the mood for it. So that's the way it's going to be. That is the way it's going to be. All right. Let's get ready to record a talk focus. I'm going to try to remember this time. Go to all your freaking scenes, dude. Do all your freaking scenes. All right. I'm going to remember this time. Ready? Are you guys ready? Hold on. I want to make sure I got something lined up here. Hold on. That's right. I think that's one problem I got. All righty. All righty. I got this. I got this. All right. Shut up. Shut up. There you go. Not you guys. You guys keep talking amongst yourselves. Just keep talking about it amongst yourselves while I cue this up for the next. Ready to begin. We begin the begin, and we do it in 3, 2, 1. This is the talk focus for Frico Talks the News on Monday, May 4th, 2020. Our top focus today is Lawbreakers lauded for their scientific crimes against the laws of science, mainly Ohm's law. Nothing like breaking the law and not only getting away with it, but get considered for some sort of mega once-in-a-lifetime award like the Nobel Prize or something. That's what's happening or will happen or could theoretically happen for a scientist at the Quantum Dynamics Unit at Okinawa Institute of Science and Technology Graduate University, who recently broke Ohm's law, and they don't appear to be the least bit guilty about the whole thing. We'll get to that, but first, I want to remind you to tip your Frico. If you haven't already, go on over to frico.com/tip or just go to frico.com and find the buttons. Find the tip button, click it, go to the PayPals and give me $1, $2, $5, or if you're a gazillionaire, give me your life savings. That only applies if you're a gazillionaire, by the way, technically speaking. Let's get back to this now. After you've contributed mightily to Frico's fund to recreate the dodo bird. That's what the fun is for. Actually, no, it's just for fun. It's just because you love me. That's why. Nothing like breaking the law and not only getting away with it, but I already read that part. I don't want to read that part again. Do you guys want me to read that part again? You do not. Excerpt from SciTechDaily.com. Quantum scientists force electrons to break Ohm's law. Ohm's law states that the electron should split at the T-junction, said Professor Konstantinov. This is one of these problems from excerpting from these long, really, really technical science articles. And I did read the whole thing, but I try to excerpt like the most valuable part that, and also you go to Frico.com, click on it, and read it for yourself. But I know that I don't have an explanation even of what the T-junction is. You're just going to have to trust me. It's important. Ohm's law states, and if you already know what it is, then you know. Ohm's law states that the electron should split at the T-junction, said Professor Konstantinov. But due to momentum conservation, the flow of fluid should keep going down the straight path. We theorize that the Riplopolarins, the trapped electrons, would break Ohm's law and all be carried in the same direction. The researchers applied an electric field which moved the ripple-polarons out of the left reservoir. As they moved along the channel, they came to the junction and could either turn and go to the side reservoir or continue straight to the right reservoir. It was as the researchers predicted. The ripple-polarons continued straight from the left reservoir to the right reservoir, following momentum conservation rather than Ohm's law. So momentum conservation punched Ohm's law. This is what it should have been. I didn't really pick up on this vibe. Sometimes you don't even read a story. This is the vibe. This is the key. Momentum conservation. This is law versus law. Momentum conservation was like, take that. Hold on, though. However, this law-breaking behavior only occurred in certain situations. The density of electrons had to be high, or the ripple-polarons wouldn't form, and the temperature had to be low, or the waves would simply pitter out. Ooh, pitter. I haven't seen anybody use that word in ages. It would pitter out. Ooh, it's pitted out. Did you see it? It just pitted out. Can't remember the last time I heard that. When the researchers ran the experiment in the opposite direction, they found the same undirectional movement. But when they ran the electrons out of the side reservoir, they found that the ripple-polarons would crash into the wall at the top, the waves would disappear, and the now free electrons would once again follow Ohm's law. And there's more to it, but I don't think I need to. Okay, here we go. Here's something at the end here. For us, it was the discovery that was exciting. But it's also important that we understand these properties. Electrons and fluids could be useful when it comes to building qubits, the tiny parts that make up quantum computers. If we could use electrons and fluids for qubits, we could create a flexible, movable architecture for the computers. You could have like oozing computer parts. And you open up your computer, and if you smash it against the wall, you see like qubit oozes. Like, oh no, you killed my qubits. Oh. That is stunning and brave. That is truly, truly stunning and brave. Insert obligatory, free my IPs and patents, and then this is all good. Make it centralized and hubbed into one citadelian colonization of the mind. Safe. Then it sucks. There you go. I'm gonna eventually, I will have a button thingy that I press, and like it'll be like 20 seconds or less. It'll like get like after every text story, just that way I don't, because I never know when somebody's listening for the first time, and I just feel like I'm getting that message out. The metaverse will come from users. If you want to see it all happen, IRL or in digital, or if you'd like to experience the real in the virtual, it will require the creation of what gamers call the metaverse. Roblox is betting these creations won't come from studios. They'll come from users. And I'm actually going to play a part of this. So there you go. I'm going to play a part of this. Here you go. All right. Well, I had this thing set up and then to miss that part. All right, here you go.
Curtis, and I'm Vice President of Developer Relations at Roblox. Today I'm going to talk about the future of user-generated content, how it's disrupting gaming, and what it means for the future of the industry. User-generated content has taken over other entertainment industries like music and video by storm. It's become the prevalent medium for content consumption and generation. However, the gaming industry as a whole has lagged behind this trend. Roblox is different. It's a unique position as it sits in the intersection of UGC platform and gaming destination. And it's really an ecosystem of millions of players and creators who are defining a new way to consume and create content. I think one of the reasons the gaming industry has been slow to integrate UGC is because gaming is a deeper form of entertainment. It's much more immersive than other mediums. As you can see in the video of various Roblox games, each experience is unique, social, and 3D. This allows for more creativity, but introduces unique and complex challenges for creators and platforms alike.
A little bit more on this. Roblox Vice President of Developer Relations, Matt Curtis, believes that the future of gaming is user-generated content Oh, it's so much work saying user-generated content. Can we do some way to shorten it? Let's do something original, like let's use the first letter of every word. Oh, UGC. Oh gosh, another. I'm tired of this too. I don't know why. I'm just done. I'm just done with it. Could this be how I lose it? Could this be how I don't reach the 20th show without freaking out over this right here? No, not at all. And he delved into the gaming world to show why in a talk at our Games Best Summit 2020 event this week. In fact, Curtis said in his talk that this could explosion. What? I'm assuming this explosion of UCG could lead us to the metaverse, the universe of virtual worlds that are all interconnected, like in novels such as Snow Crash and books and movies such as Ready Player One. It's the same goal that Epic Games, maker of Fortnite, is reportedly chasing after as well, as are numerous other companies who spoke at our event. The metaverse, ladies and gentlemen, the metaverse, being able to step out and into worlds of worlds, and our bodies will begin to atrophy and will become stalks eventually that are manipulated by machines to be hooked up to harnesses that allow us to enter into the virtual where life is immense and grand and the apex existential within us is satisfied in every day, in every way humanly possible. It democratizes the apex existential where every human being has the capacity to enter into a world in which they are capable and they do achieve apex existentiality, at least in perception, where they are the proverbial masters of the universe in whatever universe they decide they want to master. That's all good and exciting, isn't it? I think it's awesome. Then maybe they'll turn less to the apex existentials here outside of the virtual world, that when they do things, literal flesh gets destroyed, and usually human flesh, and usually the poor human flesh first and foremost. So I'm all for this. I'm all for this development, and then usual, and this is another thing. This is going to be user generated content. This is democratized content. Now you have the other issues. People create. You got to let them create. You got to free the IPs. Free the IPs. Free the I. Okay, y'all get it. That's probably the biggest reason why I do this show, maybe. Oh, who am I kidding? Tomorrow I'll say something completely different. I have a lot of reasons I do this show, but that's certainly one right up there. Now, this has been on the YouTube. Hold on, I remember. There you go. This has been the 6 p.m. show on the YouTube Action Batsa channel. And coming up next is the 7 p.m. show. And the 7 p.m. show is our news poem. And our news poem today is titled "The Gut is the Governor of the Mind." You have to wait until 7 p.m. to hear that news poem and watch that news poem on the Action Batsa YouTube channel. But if you're watching live on dlive.tv/Freako, Freeqo, well, you have to wait too, but you don't have to wait an hour. You're only going to have to wait about 4 minutes, because we're heading to the halfway point of the show. Yes, we are, ladies and gentlemen. We are heading to the halfway point of the show, and that means that we're going to get stuff ready here. Let's get her. There we go. Let's get this ready. Get this prepped up. There we go. We will see you in about 3 or 4 minutes. I will take my breaks, rest my lovely throat, and all of that stuff, and all that conspires. We'll see you in a little bit. Hey, man, we're running a tight ship today. I'm happy so far with the tightness of the shippage, and listen to some folks that give me feedback, trying to get the show more to your liking, because so far your likings are well within my range of stuff I'm willing to do to satisfy you, the people, and still do the show fundamentally that I want to do. All right. Well, we'll see you. We'll see you in about 4 minutes or so.
Love overwhelmed me. Love overwhelmed me.
All right. I hope love hasn't overwhelmed you so much that you don't watch the rest of this show.
Here you're about to be exposed to a
Ah, You suck. You stupid. That's stupidos. I know what I did wrong here. Hold on. Hold the horses here. I have for sure screwed it up. All right, here we go. Let's pretend none of that ever happened. All right. Now. All right. Here we go. This is how the transition is supposed to go. Let me bring you back down here. There you go. Here's how the transition's supposed to go. Well, welcome back to Frico Talks the News. I am your darling host, your intrepid host of hosts, actually. The one who has moved his chair out of the shot and didn't realize it, but now he's back in the shot, so everything is fine. This is Frico Talks the News for Monday, May 4th, 2020. We're getting set to go back where we left off, and where we left off was we got to get to the poetry. Today, we get to our news poem of the day, and we're about ready to go and transition on over to that right before or right after we prepare the rest of you. You know who you are. This is for you. I love you. And that's why I do this twice in one show. Because I love you.
Warning, the material you're about to be exposed to is foreign to the minds of individuals who are limited in their capacity to understand the actual reality of power around them, just as you and everyone else alive currently are. What you're about to hear are opinions, suppositions, like gospel or scientific truths, not infallible certainties. Brace yourself for incoming opinions that could confirm or deny your preferential view of the reality of power. Brace yourself for fallible material, fallible opinions, and values reflected, but nonetheless variably firmly held. We do not apologize to anyone who may offend. We do not apologize for daring to express our views and impressions of what we believe is and what we hope to see. We will keep talking so long as we are able.
And now, Frico attempts to talk about the news without freaking out. Oh yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's the plan. That is the plan. If you read the scroll down below, you'll see. Well, okay, there's the scroll over here. And that says 19 shows. I hope I remember. I haven't remembered the last few times, but I hope I remember at the end of the show, I can change that to 20. That's possible. And we're doing pretty good. I think we got a pretty good, I think we got a pretty good chance today. My health is in pretty decent shape today. I'm not puking all over the place. I don't feel like the insides of my body have been twisted into the death of all death suplex combos from within that turns me into a metaphorical quivering jelly. I don't have any of that today. So I feel good about my chances getting through to the 20. If you're watching live on dlive.com/Frico, I welcome you to the show. And if you're watching the replay, either on YouTube or BitChutes or whatever other platform I managed to get this on, Facebook, well, shame on you. No, seriously, thank you for watching the replay. But seriously, you should watch the live show because that's where the excitement is at, because you actually get to see in live time what happened. Well, what happened today? Let's get ready to record the first segment of the second half of the show. And that's going to be our news poem. Let's get that propped up, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get this show running. All right, and we're going to begin. Yeah, I don't want the music on this. Okay. We're going to begin this recording in 3, 2, 1. This is the news poem for Frico Talks the News on Monday, May 4th, 2020. Our news poem today is, I like the suspense, "The gut is the governor of the mind." That is going to be our news poem title for today. Antonio Damasio wants to return to the notion that the body maps the mind and not the other way around. He is quoted thusly: "After the outgoing messages have gotten our hearts pumping, our sweat beating, and so on, a series of incoming messages returns to the brain bearing all of that information about our physical state. Our brains, Damasio explains, maintain incredibly complex maps of the state of the body from our guts to our fingertips at all times. It is, once again, my friends, the age-old question, who's zooming whom? Is it the brain that tricks the biologicals, or the biologicals that lead the brain around by the nose? Literally, sometimes, maybe. What if, my friends, it were the wrong question from the start? What if the brain, as we know it, is the entirety of the body? You guys watch this show, you know. I've said this. I'm going to keep saying it. I hope one of these folks eventually notices. And then they can talk to me, come on the show, talk to me. I'll do a Sunday show. Such a thought would never be possible in the bifurcating universe of Antonio Damasio. And I'm calling you out. I want you to come on the show, Antonio. Come and talk to me. Challenging you. I can't back up anything I could say with science, but I could back it up with some sort of mystical language, I'm sure. So come on and be mystical languageized. Come on, buddy. I got your number. Such a thought would never be possible in the bifurcating universe of Antonio Damasio, who, it would seem, matters in such affairs according to popular science. Whether he does or doesn't. We'll have a go at turning his minute of fame that I just gave him, thanks to my audience of 2 or 3 people that regularly watches the show. Thank you for those 2 or 3 people, by the way. Whether he does or he doesn't, we'll have a go at turning his mind of fame into a news poem. For posterity, of course. It's all good love. It's all love. It's all love, man. It's all love, brother. Come on the show and let me humiliate you in love. Actually, I wouldn't want to humiliate him. I think I'd have a cool conversation with him, actually. The root of fear is a slip of the instrument. Here's an excerpt from Popular Science. Where does fear actually come from? For a long time, the working theory held that the feeling came first, in response to the fear stimulus, and then the physical response followed from the feeling. This is what's known as the common sense or Darwinian school of thought. I love that. Common sense. Common sense. I didn't know that was what common sense was. That's stupid. If that's common sense, that's dumb. I reject your authority and I replace it with my own. Yes, I'm ripping off Mythbusters who says I reject your reality and replace it with my own, which I loved. I loved that quote when I first heard it, and I made it my own. And I variate that thing to death. So you'll hear lots of variations because that's the way I work. But that was more of an assumption than a proven mechanism, and these days it has fallen out of favor. Instead, as science has turned its attention to working out the elusive mechanism more concretely, the neurologist, a neuroscientist, I apologize, Antonio, or should I call you Doctor? Dr. Toe? Dr. Toe. You know, Antonio Toe, T-O. People call him Antonio Toe all the time, right? It seems like they should. They don't. They should. Toe. Doc Toe. Doc Toe. Doc Toe. Doc Toe has come up with an answer that, you know, hold on. I'm going to have to mark this one too, folks. That away for future references. I'll be able to do this for posterity going into the future. So this is going to be called the news poem text thingy. And yes, I am intentionally, by the way, not interested in trying to make them look good. I just want to be able to act them look really, really just kind of slap it on there. Doc Toe. There we go. That's Doc Toe. The great Doc Toe. We're going to say Doc Toe. We're going to put you right about there. All right. There we go. We're going to give you a little colorations. And let's see where I'm going to put you. Maybe I'm being a little artistic. I shouldn't do that. I'm kind of cheating. I'm not supposed to do that. But there you go. There. Leave it. I would never leave it like this normally. But leave it, because it's Doc Toe. There you go, Doc Toe. I mean, you tell me, if you see him and you run across Antonio Damasio, you tell him, Doc Toe. Doc Toe is your new name. You are Doc Toe. Doc Toe, like that. Your one word name. You get a YouTube channel, dude. Start singing. Singing your neuroscientifical poetries, and I'll totally listen. The feeling, he argues, in a pair of funny and wise books, Descartes' Era and Looking for Spinoza. I should probably check out. I'll look for the. I'm not probably interested in Descartes' Era, but I am interested in looking for Spinoza, because that dude is weird. I don't understand Spinoza, but he's weird. He's very mystical, weird. I don't know. I have to. Never mind. I'm interested in this. Is actually derived from that same menu of physical reactions that we would typically view as accessories of or adjacent to our emotions. The reason why I'm not going into Spinoza thing, because if I do, I'm going to have to do like 10, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and I'm not doing it. I'm being disciplined. After the outgoing messages have gotten our hearts pumping, our sweat beating, and so on, a series of incoming messages returns to the brain, bearing all of that information about our physical states. Our brains, Damasio explains, maintain incredibly complex maps of the state of the body from our guts to our fingertips at all times. And here's the core of his argument. When the incoming messages bearing news of the body's physical fear state alters these maps, that's when the feeling itself arises. Your brain learns from your body that your heart is pounding, your pupils are dilated, your goosebumps are standing at attention. Your brain does the math and says, I am afraid! In his 1884 essay, What is an Emotion?, the philosopher and psychologist William James wrote, do I read all of this? This is a lot, man. This is a massive article, by the way. Trust me, this is just a tiny excerpt from this massive article. If we fancy some strong emotion and then try to abstract from our consciousness of it all the feeling of its bodily symptom, and by the way, I highly recommend you read the whole thing. It's really, really great, really awesome. Which is from, where are you from again? Make sure I remember. Oh yeah, Popular Science. popsci.com, popsci.com. If we fancy some strong emotion and try to abstract from our consciousness of it all the feelings of its bodily symptoms, we find we have nothing left behind, no mind stuff out of which the emotion can be constituted, and that a cold and neural state of intellectual perception is all that remains. So this is like the heart of behavioralism, basically. This is, yeah. Well, yeah, you can basically, the mind is conditioned by its external, but by the sensations that it receives. It's conditioned by the sensations that it receives, in essence, is what we're talking about here. What kind of an emotion of fear would be left if the feeling neither of quickened heartbeats, nor of shallow breathing, neither of trembling lips, nor of weakened limbs, neither of goo flesh, nor of visceral stirrings were present? It is quite impossible for me to think. And this was, never mind. I was going to say something about psychology and medicine that would have led to another 10, 15-minute conversation, but it's not important. I'll have other opportunities to talk about that. We're moving on. Damasio picks up where James left off, but he doesn't just draw on Victorian-era philosophizing to make his argument. He also works from case studies in his own research, for instance. He picks up where that's a heck of a gap. William James, where this is like, what is he, late, oh, there you go, late 1800s, right, yeah, exactly, yeah. That's a bit of a pause. That is a bit of a regressionarianism, but I still would love to talk to this guy and ask him how he has concluded some of the things that he has concluded based upon this experiment. So, he works for case studies in his own research, the case of a Parkinson's patient in Paris. And in essence, and I don't want to go and read all of this for you here. In essence, though, she's doing they're doing experiments to control motor controls using electrodes, and all these patients they use this with, they actually are able to condition them to, and they respond to them very well. But the one woman, when she did it, I'll join it here, she began to cry and sob, "I'm fed up with life. I've had enough. I don't want to live anymore. I feel worthless." And then it turns out, according to Damasio, that, and this is from the article again, that instead of stimulating the nuclei that controlled her tremors, the electrode, infinitesimally misplaced, had activated the parts of the brainstem that control a suite of actions by the facial muscle, mouth, larynx, and diaphragm. The action that allows us to drive. Basically, they hit a part of the body that gives her all of these powerful physiological messages that would align with someone in horror and grief and pain and agony. And the article itself is really fascinating. I really highly recommend you read this article. But I want to offer just a little bit of a counter here in extrapolating so much from this experiment. And I want to use myself as an example. Okay, we're at 11 minutes. I knew I was going to go longer on the NewsPoem because of the meat of this thing. And that was fine, but I'll just say I suffer from POTS. Well, it's undiagnosed, but I'll say this. I highly suspect I suffer from POTS. That's the best I can say, honestly. I can't say I do. But I've had these symptoms, and it's been part of a real weird part of my life the last 2 years. And I was getting all of these panic attacks, and I had all the fears and anxieties, and it was really affecting me. It affected me for maybe 3 or 4 months before I finally started to figure out that most of my anxieties, well, I have a habit because I'm bipolar, and it's somewhat from cognitive behavioral therapy, although I have modified it in my own head, but it's what you call rooting for me. Or when you feel emotions, you root it. You figure out where are they coming from. For this panic attack stuff, I was doing that, and I wasn't getting the root. And even I understood that I was getting these panic attacks without any real reason to. And I was assuming that there was something that I wasn't accessing. And I was still struggling to get to that root until I finally realized that it was physiological, that it was, these are just basically POTS attacks. I highly suspect I have the adrenal POTS variation, which is you get adrenal, it's intense, very, very intense, and definitely produced. Now that once I became aware of that, I was no longer governed by the physiological. I was able to overcome it, and I was not launched into. I still suffer from these things with some degree of regularity, suffer from the feelings of the panic attack, but not the emotional psychologicals, because I understand what I'm dealing with. So if this woman had continued to feel this for a sustained period of time, at some point, I believe she would start to understand this is physiological as well. So that's how I would begin my conversation with this guy. But I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the poem itself. How about that? Hold on one second. No, we're going to do this. And we want to mention right here, Hello Kitty, the official water cup of Frico Talks to News. Not a sponsor, but the only sponsor that we would ever accept. We will accept no other sponsors, only Hello Kitty. Here's the poem now. The gut is the governor of the mind. Antonio Damasio wants to return to the notion that the body maps the mind and not the other way around. He is quoted thusly: after the outgoing messages have gotten our hearts pumping, our sweat beating, and so on, a series of incoming messages returns to the brain, bearing all of that information about our physical states. Our brains, Damasio explains, maintain incredibly complex maps of the state of the body from our guts to our fingertips at all times. The mind. The body isn't a map. Its dimensionals, transitional states of being and dying and wars internecine wars over resources, impulses, genetic awls to feed, temporal flashes to eat. After the outgoing messages, there is no out or in, only flow. The body is the melange of the dendritic and metaphor across synaptic divides through fascia and bone. The trigger alone, the mind. Never mind, Antonio. The bearings slip out of the constructed, the frenetic rolls of balls across paneled floors, slipping. The friction is the flow, is the remaining glaze of unction over the veneer. The mind. No, sir. You've got the bifurcating disease, where half is the whole and the whole is the half. Bifurcating history, desperate for the keys to the inside of the machine, where the abacus of thought awaits measures, calculations, perfect responses. The guts spit signals that the flow can respond to or the flow can calculate. The passive mind slates itself on the acid's affair. I am amiss. I grieve. The pain is letting me go even as I learn. I have extra vacation time. No sense. No mind. The gut spits on my face in the middle of rapture and says, "No! Get your ass down in the We don't use that kind of language around here, son." No, sir, Antonio. The mind is not a flush. It is the gut. It is the bone. It is. The bifurcation dance is a hell of a drug, but it won't lead you to the mouths that make wonder of souls and satellites alike. Dang it. The music didn't cut off. So I want to remind you to go to freeco.com, freeqo.com, and you can see where we have the end of the news poem. You'll see a link for Freeco's Eye Chaps, and you can get the latest issue of Freeco's Eye Chaps, and that is a weekly show in which I take the news poems of the week and I redo them. And as you can see, I've got my new this is the official shirt of that I'm wearing here, the good meme little good meme sweet dream little lamb. That's the official shirt of the Freako Eye Chap show, and that's every Saturday 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on dlive.tv/Freako, and that one is I only actually do live stream only on dlive.tv for that show. Actually, I do YouTube as well for now because I've got some issues with DLive, and I'm just doing it on YouTube for now as an archive, but I won't continue to. This has been the 7 p.m. show on the Action Bots YouTube channel. Coming up next is the Talk Brief show. That's the 8 p.m. show, and our top brief is going to be Bezos. Congress wants you for some questions, bro. Now you're going to have to wait until, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to watch that. But if you're watching live on dlive.tv/Freako, you don't have to wait. Cool. I ended that right at the 20-minute mark. If I did it right, it should be exactly 20 minutes long, that video segment. Cool. I really hope it's 20:00. That would definitely appeal to a very significant, but small but significant part of me. We're going to get the briefs done here, ladies and gentlemen. We're just gonna get right to it here. We're making good time. Doing good. Everybody's doing good. We got the briefs ready in 3, 2, 1. These are the briefs for Freako Talks the News on Monday, May 4th, 2020. I am Freako with Freako.com, and our top brief is Bezos. Congress wants you for some questions, bro. Jolly bro. Jolly bro. We got some questions for you. You come on down. We've got some questions for you. You know, we got some questions. Yes, I like mixing accents. That's what I do. All right. He looks like he's ready to be called on. This is a younger Bezos. This is the Bezos that before he discovered just how ruthless he was capable of being. Or maybe he knew it all along. Excerpt from Boing Boing. I love the name, even though Boing Boing is given to the hyperbolic. They're on the, as far as their credibility, they're rather low as far as credibility goes. But, yeah, like many other sites with the way lower than them, like Common Dreams or Gateway Pundit, my two prima donnas of awful, they still manage to have some good writers and good stuff. Anyway, this is from Boing Boing. House Judiciary demands Jeff Bezos testify on Amazon's alleged misuse of third-party seller data. The House Judiciary Committee on Friday informed Jeff Bezos he needs to agree to testify at a hearing on Amazon's alleged misuse of third-party seller data, or the CEO faces a potential subpoena if he declines. Subpoena your butt, man. We're going to get you in there. Lawmakers on the House's top competition-focused panel specifically pointed to statements that Amazon made starting last July when officials explicitly told Congress that we do not use any seller data to compete with them. Lawmakers raised the potential that Amazon might have committed perjury during its earlier testimony on Capitol Hill. In light of our ongoing investigation, recent public reporting, and Amazon's prior testimony before the committee, we expect you as Chief Executive Officer of Amazon to testify before the committee, said Representative David N. Cicilline, a Democrat from Rhode Island, the chairman of the Antitrust Subcommittee. The subcommittee. They're all subcommittees, really, but whatever. It's a subcommittee, but they're all subcommittees. Really, they're all sucking. Never mind. Listen, you're close to 20. Don't push it, Frico. Walk away. He was joined by Representatives Gerald Nadler, the Democrat from New York, the House Judiciary Committee's Democrat chairman, and F. James Sensenbrenner Jr., Republican from Wisconsin, the second most senior member of the House, indicating the early wide support such a hearing has garnered in Congress. Everybody wants a pound of that fleshies. Everybody's like, yo, man, you making some juicies over there? That's what it really is. Y'all making juicies. Because ain't nobody got any kind of moral supremacist positioning any of these people could take over Bezos. They're all same kind of crew, same kind of moral constructs that guide them to destroy or liberate according to their whims and their particular absolutarian assumptions about the universe that they insist everyone else shares as well. Yeah, none of them. But it's funny to see them all going after each other. They're basically going after Jeffy Poo because Jeffy Poo's got power and wealth, and they want their cut. What they presume is their rightful cut. This is just mob bosses shaking down a new mafioso. That's all this is. See? I came close. Y'all don't know how close I came. Inside, there were fires that were not allowed to reach the extreme edge of my lips. Got right up to the core, right up. There was heat in the mouth, I'll just say that. But it never got out because of discipline. Because of you, the people. I love you, the people. This is for you, the people, that I do this. South Korea says troops exchange fire along North Korean border. And this is an excerpt from News 957. South Korea says its troops have exchanged fire with North Korea along their tense land border. The Joint Chiefs of Staff in Seoul says North Korean troops fired several bullets at a South Korean guard post inside the heavily fortified border between the countries on Sunday. The military, they probably do this regularly. And this is just like, this is earlier story. If you're watching the live stream, you know what I'm talking about. If you're watching on YouTube, you have to go back and see the earlier segment where I talk about where we get the title for the whole segment of the show, for the whole show title actually is, here comes Kim Jong Boom Boom. Here comes Kim Jong Boom Boom. That's the name of the show. That's what it's all about. So this is just part of that whole thing. That's one of the reasons I put it in there, because just show you he's already doing his little. I meant to do that. And look at this. Now I'm showing you. Look at this. there's probably this part of they probably both have their parts where they're like this massive buildup of stuff. Like if you shoot bullets at it, it's like it's kind of like a shooting range kind of situation. And they're like, yeah, just just fire a few shots into that thing there. And then the South Koreans are like, oh, their bank thing, let's do that too. And they probably do this like, haven't done it in a while, but now they're like, oh, we're doing this now. We're doing this again, by the way. Now I'm back. Listen, man, I wasn't sick. I'm not vulnerable. I'm still a god. I was ninjaing it. I was 4D chessing it. Sound familiar, by the way? Anybody? 4D chess? Applying to when somebody does something dumb and they luck out and it works in their favor. Anybody? Senators warn banks not to use recovery funds to starve gun business. So that's a good thing. Here's an excerpt from AmmoLand. AmmoLand.com. U.S. senators are warning big banks not to use the recent pandemic recovery funds as a bludgeon against industries they find out of fashion. In other words, don't use taxpayer funds as a weapon to score political points at the next corporate cocktail party. Yeah, this is good to send this message because y'all been using your market, state, whatever powers for quite some time to assume more and more that you have some, not even right, but somehow some moral obligation to use your ill-gotten monopolistic market power protected by government guns, created by government guns. You want to use that type of power to force your way on us without any accountability. You have very little market accountability because you're monopolies. And you have no political accountability because we don't elect you. You have a right to violate our Constitution every day, and it has to end. How do you reel these people in real quick? You just pass a constitutional amendment that says the Bill of Rights, the 10 amendments of the Bill of Rights apply to all businesses. There you go. Boom, we're done. Then you're done doing this crap. You're done violating our rights. And by the way, we will have our rights to bear arms, to not bear arms, even more than that, because drones is coming. Our right to bear defense, no matter the form, we have a right to bear defense. We individuals within this land. This is what this land is. It is a land that is intended to foster consensuality, not to continue in its coercive path such it is as it is. So, hey, whatever they're doing to serve their particular factions with their little lip service. So, whatever. You're no hero of mine, Senator Kevin Kramer, but sure. I sure hope that it helps. Send the message that maybe at least some people will reconsider moving in this front, that they may have some degree of fear of accountability, but they don't. They probably know they don't. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. Over 100,000 flamingos descend on Mumbai amid COVID-19 lockdown. This is from Time magazine. And here's an excerpt. The Bombay Natural History Society estimates that around 25% more flamingos have migrated to the region compared to last year, likely caused by the decrease in human activity. The Science Times calculates around 150,000 flamingos. 150,000 flamingos. Gotta do it. Gotta create something right now. Are you ready? We're gonna do it. We've been doing it throughout all day today, so if you've been watching along on the YouTube channel, you've seen all of this appeared in almost all the segments, but if you're watching the show, you're like, oh, I know what he's doing. You know what I'm doing. I'm typing briefs text thingy, and I think it's appropriate to call it a thingy because I don't really know what it is, but in this case, we are going to be typing 150,000 See, that looks better than the way they do it because they have it letters. And if I was writing, or numbers, and if I was writing the article, I would do that too. But since I'm not writing the article, I am just going to put this on top because I think this is really what it's all about. There we go. There we go. Now let's get back to this now that we have the context in the right dimension. India has been under a strict lockdown since March 25th, which has required over 1 billion people to stay home and shutter all but essential services in an attempt to stop the spread of coronavirus, the disease caused by coronavirus. On May 1st, the Indian government extended the lockdown through May 18th. And this was, by the way, news. I should read this more. News curated by pioneeringnews.com. That's Pioneering News sent this link to us. So I'm going to start making a note of that more and more as I remember it. So listen, folks, that's the end of this brief. I want to make sure that you go on over to Freako.com and you get Freako's Daily Freaks. You just enter your email and you click subscribe. You find that on the Freako.com front scroll page thingy. I really should say submit, but I say subscribe instead. This has been the 8 p.m. show on the YouTube Action Banza channel. Coming up next, the 9 p.m. show. That is the Dialectical, and our Dialectical today is titled The Failures of Collectives to Deliver Equality. But you're going to have to wait until 9 p.m. to watch that show unless you're watching the live show on dlive.tv /Freako. Freako Talks the News, which is aired every 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on dlive.tv /Freako, Freeqo. You don't have to wait. Oh, yep. We got one more thing to do. Let's see what kind of time we're running here, because this could be a little long, maybe. Making good time. Got one more. Let me get. All right, let me get conflumbulated there. I got 19 shows. Oh man, that one came out of the nowheres. That is a dry cough. I know I sound bad right this second, but on the main, I'm feeling much better in a lot of ways, and even my acid reflux, which is still pretty bad, all things considered, is getting back to controllable levels. I think I'm heading in the right direction, at least about my throat. Oh, that was a little acid that came up, so that's what triggered that. That was a bit of an acid assault. All right, let's get this. We just got to go through one, and we got to get through one more segment here, ladies and gentlemen. We can do this. This is going to be our dialectical. Let's get this set up. And 3, 2, 1. This is the Dialectical for Freako Talks the News on Monday, May 4th, 2020. I am Freako with Freako.com, and our Dialectical today is The Failures of Collectives to Deliver Equality. The failure of the promised one, or the promised way, to deliver on the golden goods is a story that is older than the definition of time itself. It goes back to Akhenaten promising a new religion with one God that would finally deliver peace and tranquility to the land, a promise in a sense of the end of history. When all of our base selves fall away and we walk as one in equality with this same Akhenaten at the elevated throne, the benign God King. That was over 3,000 years ago. Not 30. Not 300, 3,000 years ago. That's a few revolutions before the current ones we now see forming. Many, many generations ago. And yet, the same story from the start, from before Akhenaten. Here it is. We will sweep out the dead and the poison. We will rebuild anew in ways we could never do with those, insert a faction you personally hate, kinds of people around. For Akhenaten, it was the priestly class, greedy takers of the people's grain. For this generation of charlatans offering peace and equality through the land, after yet another desperate hard reboot to wipe the slate clean and bring an end finally, once and for all, to the dramas that divide us with hate. It's the whites who took all our souls, or the illegals who took all our jobs, or the gays, or the Christians, or the millennials, and the boomers. Groups of people that just gots to go if we will ever be at peace and equality. And so it goes. Mind you, it started thousands of years before the Sun Pharaoh, this churn, this rebooting of the old forms and replacing with the new, with the fundamental narratives mostly staying the same, the good and noble and perfect versus the unfathomably dark and inhuman. What never changes are the basic drivers of the types of narratives that allow these cycles to keep reporting or repeating. Angels and demons, subhumans and nobles, whatever you want to call them, or us, or whichever you are. What never changes are the losers in the whole affair. During each churn, the casualties, be they intended or inconsequential side effects of noble purges, the very muscle of the purge, and the vast majority of poors, not billionaires, not citadelians, poors, that will be ended before life needed to go. Because of the plan, the end of history, the messy, necessarily messy business of consolidating the perfect to finally, once and for all, vanquish the imperfect and execute plans that will assure such undesirables with such undesirable thoughts never surface again. What never changes are the families, beneficiaries of the churn. The ones that get to use each churn as a form of jubilee. Debt forgiveness for them. Further debt burden for the poors. The ones still alive. With special low rates granted to the foot soldiers that make your lush lives possible. The uppity poors, the guard poors, the muscle that doesn't know it's being muscled as well. And now, I'll share the excerpt from National Interest. China has completely failed to defeat income inequality. One event not experienced by Italians was a brutal communist revolution followed by decades of totalitarian rule. Had that happened, maybe the researchers wouldn't have found such a persistence of socioeconomic status. Inequality would have been forever beaten out of society. Take China, for instance. The second half of the 20th century saw that country experience two major revolutions: the Communist Revolution in the 1950s and the Cultural Revolution from 1966 to 1976. As described in the new working paper, Persistence Through Revolutions, by Alberto Alessina, Marlon Savror, David Yang, Yang Yao, and Weihong Zheng. That's a lot of humans that contributed to this book. Those tumultuous events represented two of the most extreme attempts in human history to eliminate the advantages of the elite, to eradicate inequality in wealth and education, to close down formal channels of intergenerational transmission such as inheritance and schooling, and to erase cultural differences in the population, especially between the rich and the poor. The expropriation and redistribution of the land, as well as the closure of secondary schools and universities, were particularly effective in achieving the homogenization of the population, but only over the short run. When China opened up, the old inequality returned. From the paper. However, 3 decades after the introduction of economic reforms in the 1980s, the descendants of the former elites earned a 17% higher annual income than those of the former non-elites, such as poor peasants. The grandchildren of the pre-revolution elites systematically bounced back, despite the cards being stacked against them and their parents. They could not inherit land and other assets from their grandparents. Their parents could not attend secondary or university due to the Cultural Revolution. Their parents were unwilling to express previously stigmatized pro-market attitudes in surveys, and they reside in countries that have become more equal and more hostile towards inequality today. So, throughout human history, the leading psychedelic families are psychedelic. I wish it was psychedelic instead of psychotic. The leading psychotic families sustained their grips on humanity throughout the revolutions, over and over and over and over. And they will here too in America. Whatever, if violence is what comes here in America, and heaven help us if it does, because it's not going to help anyone who prefers consensuality. That if that ends up being the path for America, then in the end, when the dust is settled and 20, 30 years from now, there may be 5-10% of the Citadelian families that have been removed, some public executions, figuratively and or literally, who knows how it'll go. But in the end, 90+% of them will still be the fundamental pullers of the levers going forward, no matter what form this nation state takes. If it's a nation at all, you can pretty much bet a huge amount on that. And there's some nouveau riche families that are the least likely to survive. But like, will the Bezoses make it through? Will Bezos be able to establish fully his empire, his family's name? Will he be able to ennoble his family? Guy like Cicero, I don't even know if he was able to success. Well, he would have been. He finally did, because he was. Once you become a consul in Rome, then your family gets that status, that nobility status, if you will, ennobled. The aristocracy. But unless you were a new man being a consul that didn't come from the aristocracy, no matter how high up you got, you could not transfer your prestige to your family. So there's no guarantee that Bezos will be able to pull this off. But he's got gazillions of dollars, so he just might. By the way, if you're listening, Bezos, go on over to freako.com/tips and leave me an anonymous, ginormous tip to make up for your crappiness, because I will use it for the good. Freako's good. No strings attached. You don't need to know anything else other than that. Just send me your gazillions, and then we're cool. Well, I'm still gonna slam you on the show, probably. So, like I said, no strings attached. You don't get anything from it other than you get to feel good about yourself for a day. I think that's the general routine. So we're gonna end the dialectical there, and I This is the last segment of the Frico Talks the News show. The very last segment. The 9 p.m. segment also is the last segment, which is on the YouTube channel, Action Batza. If you're watching on the Action Batza YouTube channel, we'll have another segment on tomorrow, Tuesday. It'll be the headline segment. I already know what the story's going to be, but I'm not going to tell you. I'm already working on stuff. So there. Don't forget to tip your Frico, like I said, at frico.com/tip. So if you're not Bezos, there's a $1 to $2 to $5 option for you. But if you're Bezos, don't use that option. Pick the other and put 300,000 million gazillion cash immediate. So that's the end of this segment. We'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. But if you're watching the live show, I'm not done with you. I have a couple more things to say. And also, you don't have to wait till 4 p.m. You can start watching 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on dlive.tv/Frico, FROEEQO. Yeah, I still don't have that thing down. The ending for that last segment. I don't quite have that one down, but I am here, ladies and gentlemen, because, well, I'm going to say thanks to you all. Just all the people that I know are watching. And I know there's tons of people not watching, tons watching. Don't say that. Tons are watching. Shut up. Shut up, man. Shut up. I want to thank you all. And I want to let you know that we're about ready to make some change around here. It's going to happen effective immediately. And I don't think it's premature to do this. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Ready? There you go, ladies and gentlemen. 20 shows in a row without freaking out, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all got to give it to me. Y'all got to give it to me. I've gone 20 shows without freaking out. I think that deserves some celebration. So, well, I'm going to be back tomorrow. I've got some patent stuff that I think is probably going to end up in the show. Going to talk more about the whole patenting of the universe in general and how awesome it is to be part of that whole patent empire. Got more stuff planned, so thank you everybody for joining me. This show's going to actually end in a very timely manner, and I hope that I can continue this trend, and most of these shows can end up like this. This is actually going to be under 2 hours long, so word to your mother. Let's get prepped for the end of the show. We're going to sign you off here and leave you like we always do. We'll see you tomorrow on dlive.tv/Frico. And we're going to do this all over again, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Frico Talks the News, where I talk about the news without freaking out for you, the people.
It's not